All right, listen carefully, because where the surveillance state is headed, I'm going to tell you where it's headed and why most people are cheering it on. Because the most dangerous surveillance systems in history were never sold as control, they were sold as safety. And right now, we are watching the next phase lock into place. And here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. People don't resist surveillance when they feel protected. They resist it when it's too late. Every expansion of state power follows the same script: identify a threat, promise safety, expand capability, normalize it, and never roll it back. It's kind of like gun laws. You notice how they never give your rights back. And this isn't a left versus right topic. This is power behavior. Section 702 is one of the most quietest, most effective tools ever built for that purpose. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the legal mumbo jumbo language. Functionally, Section 702 does one thing. It allows massive foreign intelligence collection that inevitably pulls Americans
of FISA Section 702 at a time when our civil liberties are under assault and the public lacks trust in government. The stakes could not be higher. As my colleagues and witnesses have pointed out, Section 702 has been repeatedly abused under both Republican and Democratic administrations. It's become a tool of mass domestic surveillance and an end run around the Fourth Amendment as well. It should be clear by now that we cannot trust the executive branch to regulate itself. This is a crucial moment for Congress to assert itself and its constitutional authority to protect our constituents from warrantless spying. It's clear to me, it is not clear to me, that Section 702 can ever be reformed to the point where it doesn't threaten our constitutional rights. But if Congress is going to reauthorize it, then we must insist on major changes. That means requiring a warrant for U.S. person searches, closing the data broker loophole, reforming the FISA court, and narrowing the EC-SP definition, and requiring more transparency and oversight. It also means getting rid...
Not because anyone targeted you personally, because modern life is so interconnected. Once data exists, it becomes searchable. Once it becomes searchable, it becomes usable. Once it becomes usable, it becomes tempting. And temptation is where power grows. And here's the part most people out here talking about this, they miss it. People don't support surveillance because they're stupid. They support it because it feels rational. If the government says, hey man, this stops terrorism, this stops trafficking, this stops illegal immigration, this stops weapon shipments, this stops bad actors, most people say, good, I'm not doing anything wrong. And that's how every surveillance state wins public consent. Not with tyranny, but with reassurance. Look at the Patriot Act. The same thing, they were cheering it on because, hey man, we got bad people out here doing bad things, we need to stop them. And people can say that that's not the way it was. It is the way it is. Now, here's what changed recently. The government no longer talks about collecting less data. They talk about using it better. That's the shift. The debate is no longer, should we surveil? It's how efficiently can we analyze it? Well, welcome to AI. And that's where the technocracy comes in. Forget politics for a moment. Palantir represents something much bigger. Governance by data fusion instead of human judgment. Palantir doesn't spy. Palantir integrates, okay? It takes intelligence data, financial data, travel data, and communications metadata. It turns it into decision-making ready insight, okay? So a lot of people think that they're the ones doing the spying. This is not that. It's not even left versus right. This is post-political. It's technocracy, okay? That's what it is. And that's what's coming. That is what's coming down the pipe. And Americans, I don't think, are awake to it. It's not the normal, this isn't the normal junk food content I see most people that are into the political circuit are into. They're wanting to talk about this person bashing this person. This is the real important stuff that affects us, right? The technocratic system doesn't ask, is this moral? Is this fair? is this constitutional? Most importantly, don't ask that. It asks, does the model say yes? Is the risk score high? Is intervention justified?
Massive amounts of Americans' communications are still swept up in 702 searches. If a U.S. person communicates with a foreign target, that American's communications with the target end up in the 702 database too. The intelligence community is not supposed to search the 702 database for U.S. person identifiers like our names, phone numbers, and addresses without cause. Searching for Americans' private communications in the 702 database, communications the government otherwise would not have access to without a warrant, is the constitutional equivalent of conducting a warrantless search. But we know that the government breaks this law all the time. 278,000 times, in fact, at last count in 2021.
They use it as efficiency. But the bigger thing is it's soulless. AI is soulless. And once a system like that exists, every administration uses it because it's not using, by not using it, it would be irresponsible per them. Okay. And a lot of people don't understand this. This doesn't come down to who's in the White House. This comes down to lifers, people like Lindsey Graham, military industrial complex, big tech, all the bureaucrats, these people that are lifers, right? Lifer intelligence operatives. These people are embedded in the system so deep, and they can't wait to get all your data, okay? Now, let's talk about that ship that just released earlier today. A Chinese vessel had Iranian missile components on it, intercepted quietly, no drama. Here's what matters. That ship wasn't found by luck. It wasn't random. They didn't just randomly jump on a Chinese ship. It was identified by a pattern, supply chain analysis, signals intelligence, and logistics mapping. That is what modern surveillance looks like. Not listening to phone calls, mapping the world. And if you think that capability will never be turned inward, you don't understand history, okay? Edward Snowden said it. What we're watching emerge is not just a political state or a police state, sorry. It's worse. It's a global control grid where movement is tracked, behavior is modeled, maybe even predicted, risk is scored, intervention is pre-justified. Could you imagine how dark that is when you're talking about social credit scores and so on? This is should be so alarming to Americans. And the thing is, the 702, Section 702, is coming up for renewal in April 2026. Okay, it was expanded from April 2024 to April 2026. So we're going to see here soon what's going to happen. And they micro renew it.
Now reports that it's disrupted a planned New Year's Eve terror attack in Los Angeles. 4 suspects in custody, the FBI identifying them as members of a pro-Palestine extremist group. They're suspected of planning coordinated IED attacks targeting 5 different locations in Los Angeles. But based on the reporting now, that plot has been foiled. We will wait for more out of LA or out of Washington, D.C. for what the FBI has to say about that developing story.
And then out of nowhere, the next threat comes. Oh, man, like today the FBI thwarted some bomb plot, okay, for New Year's. Oh, we got some risks. The thing in Australia, so on. Oh, we got these things going on. We really need to use it, guys. So does safety, efficiency, security, stability. Every empire builds this eventually. The difference now is the technology actually works, okay? And the problem is you can't vote this away because no one is in charge. The system grows because it's useful, efficient, prevents embarrassment, prevents failures, and then ultimately gets things like this Chinese ship today. And bureaucrats exist to avoid failures at all costs. And they'll leverage whatever they can in the meantime. Now, so what do? Right? Don't panic. Don't fantasize about collapse. You don't need to scream on the internet like me. You adapt. Reduce predictability. Predictable patterns are what systems love. Change routines, change habits. Stop feeding models clean data. Your smartphone is the biggest GPS device that you have. Okay, it feeds everything, especially if you're wearing those wearables, those watches, tracking your biometrics real time. your freaking heart rate and so on getting sent. You got to also control your digital exhaust, right? Your phone's the sensor, permissions, location, apps. You got to go through your apps, look at location harvesting, turn that junk off. I know it's easy. It's easy to have facial recognition for passwords, all these sort of things. It's easy, okay? The other thing is stay boring. The safest profile in surveillance state is being unremarkable. No spikes, no noise, no attention. Gray man applies digitally now. That's why we talk about the gray man protocol. Gray man protocol 2 dives into this stuff deeply. It talks about how to beat facial recognition and everything else. It talks about all that stuff. Very deep. Gray man protocol 2 is the one. If you want to vanish, it is what it is. So being gray man online, your digital signature. Also having various emails set up for various things. So a lot of people use one email for every freaking thing they log into. Use one email for your financial, one email for your social accounts, YouTube, Facebook, all that sort of stuff, Instagram. Have one that's just a junk account. So if you're signing up for like some kind of deal where you get 30% off if you sign up, use the junk. Anything you have to log in for any kind of, they're trying to harvest your email, use that junk email, okay? That way it preserves your real information. Just make junk emails, okay? And obviously use different passwords for different devices. Don't use them for all the same ones. It's just a way to kind of lower your posture in a digital world. Obviously carrying a Faraday bag, like we sell the gray man Faraday bag. That way you can just dump your phone into it, your freaking, all your devices, and go dark at a moment's notice. Okay, these are things you can do. But a lot of people think this isn't a sexy topic. And the sexy topics or the entertaining topics are what you're being fed, so you're not awake. This is a time that you have to be awake. Section 702 is something that they will keep pushing, and it'll work like this, whereas he got connected and it's a back door. You contacted someone or maybe interacted with an account, maybe even a social media account from someone overseas. This person is linked to so-and-so. All of a sudden, they backdoor and start harvesting your data. That's where Palantir comes in. It takes all that data, pumps it through all the different agencies, starts pattern recognition, and then boom. Oh man, you know what? We need to surveil this guy because he has a connection to Toto in France. But again, if you notice, every time one of these laws come up for extension, a new plot always occurs. Oh, new case. We have to, for safety, for American citizen safety, we have to do it, right? And this isn't about one country. It's not about one person. It's about a world where control is automated and consent is assumed. The system doesn't need your obedience. It just needs your participation. That's all it wants. And again, going back to Patriot Act, how people over and over again would cheer it on because the Twin Towers got hit. And, you know, I'm not a bad guy, so I don't have anything to hide. And then this is where we wind up in a surveillance state. We've seen the people involved currently backing politicians, and, you know, we have the Peter Thiel's, J.D. Vance, the connection Thiel to Jeffrey on the islands down there, and so on. We see these connections. We see the different intelligence agencies connected to Peter Thiel. We see all this happening at the same time. A lot of people, they don't want to accept it. It also goes into, I saw Elon Musk in an interview a few days ago where he was asked that if he would do Doge again. He said, no, it'd be pointless.
Would you ever do Doge again?
No, I don't think so. What I do, I think I probably, like if you stop money going to going for political corruption, they will lash out big time. Mm-hmm. So they really want the money to keep flowing.
Because the corruption is so deep, essentially is what he said. The corruption is so deep, you can't stop it. That's what the thing is. They always have the left, right, people point fingers at each other. But the problem is that's just something it's this bread and circus to keep you entertained, keep you at each other's necks. We're constantly moving into a surveillance state, right? You can't go anywhere without being surveilled. CCTVs, your phone, and so on. It's part of our day-to-day life now. And I mean, going back to Elon Musk, we saw the Doge audits found trillions of dollars of spending that was being wasted and then cut off. Nothing happened. Nothing came from it. You notice how none of the stuff, anything ever happens. Apparently, they found lots of interference from 2020 today. Will prosecutions come? Letitia James stuff got thrown away. So every time we turn around, no one's being held accountable. We get thrown crumbs that we're going to see something actually happen, but nothing really happens. It's all part of the entertainment process to keep you docile, to not pay attention to things like Section 702 and surveillance state. And I can assure you, moving into it, other things could happen. There could be other plots, attacks, and so on that could rush other things just quickly into this. Especially what's dangerous about this is we're moving into the AI systems. That's dangerous. But moving into the next presidency, don't you think these things will pick up even more? We're moving to an America where surveillance state is the way of life. Everything you do will be tracked, monitored, and pattern recognition. To me, guys, it's dangerous days coming. And I think a lot of people they don't see it for what it is. And these guys are heavily involved in funding of politicians, military industrial complex, and the lifers in the system. That's why I always say if you don't drain the swamp, nothing's really going to occur. And we're seeing that's not happening even now. And we're going to wind up continuing down the same path into 2030. We all know all means to the same end is what it looks like to me. Anyway, guys, I want to know your thoughts on this. I'm truly curious. Have you heard about this? A lot of people haven't. A lot of people I've talked to, they had no idea. I'm always digging for this information because I want to know what's going on, because I feel like a lot of what we see, and even I get caught up in, I'm not going to say I don't get caught up in the drama that distracts the distractions. But what I recognize is every time some new plot occurs, there's something behind the scenes that there's a reason for that happening. Every time. If you notice the pattern, it happens every time, guys. Anyway, before I jump off, guys, we've been collaborating with Under Armour. We got a few collaborations on the website now. Love it. We got the hats, the shirts, and so on. I love Under Armour, but I'm happy that they collaborate with us. This is the new unit tee. The email went out this morning. If you're not signed up for the email list, I would highly suggest it. But Under Armour on the sleeve. This matches our hoodie we pumped out last year. We got a few more of these on the website, zip-up hoodie, flag on the sleeve. And also we came out with unit decals today. These can be put on your vehicle, your Pelican case, your weapons case, and so on. Frosty, Stratton, and Dangerous. These are high quality vinyl, so they can resist weather and all that sort of stuff. And obviously we got the morale patches in stock as well. So go pick them up, man. Flex your tribe. And guys, let me know your thoughts below. I'm really curious, man. Stay aware, stay adaptable, stay hard to model. Black Scout out.